Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Money Talks Wealth Beyond Numbers. I am Dr. Constance Craig-Mason, and I'm here with Dr. Jimmy Davies. I'm super excited to have him on the show. We did have a pre-interview, so I know a little bit about his background, but I want him to be able to, in his own words, just give you a little touch of a background on himself before we hop into our questions for today. So, Dr. Jimmy, have at it. Give us an insight into who you are and what you do.
Well, sure thing. First of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Of
And
course.
just give a little background about myself. I actually, you might see my logo here. I'm the founder of Every Dot Black, and Every Dot Black is a support group for entrepreneurs. And in particular, we try to help entrepreneurs with their technology, which leads into my personal background. Literally 37 years ago, I can't believe that. A
Wow.
friend introduced me to a Macintosh computer. Uh, I had tried different businesses, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. But when a friend introduced me to a Macintosh computer, I knew I wanted to get into the computer field. And I started teaching people how to use software. This was like in the 90s and 1990s, and all the software was coming out. No one knew how to use anything, whether it was
Wow.
Microsoft Word or FileMaker or PageMaker or Excel, Photoshop, you name it. All this software was coming out. And before you know it, I had a business teaching people how to use software. And it grew to the point where I had to bring on other people to help me with the training. Um, we were servicing at one time, we were servicing 40 cities and 12 states. And when I
Wow.
look back on it, it was like a very busy time. But what that did, that led me to creating Every Night Black, because I realized that in our community in particular, there's two things that we really, I think, need help with on a continuous basis. And that's one, financial literacy, which is what your show is about, and also tech literacy, which is what my background has been primarily about. So that's just a short synopsis, but that's what I do. We try to help people with their technology and also entrepreneurship through Every Dot Black, which is a support group for entrepreneurs primarily.
Wow. So you took something that you were naturally interested in and you turned it into a money-making opportunity, which then became an awesome opportunity for those that you brought along with you because you were able to start a business and hire people on and train them to do what it is that you do. And like you said, back in the 80s and 90s, like this was a new thing, in terms of technology and how we use it to our benefit, not just in business, but in our everyday lives. And now it's kind of hard to do anything without
Right.
technology being involved to kind of give us the conveniences that we need or the efficiencies that we need. When you and I were talking a few weeks back, you had shared about how mentoring was important in your life as you were developing, but then you also became a mentor in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, what would you say would be the importance of having mentoring and even modeling, like just doing what you do before people so that they can see that it's possible?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you mentioned that, and today, it's hard to imagine being in business or doing anything really without technology. And I tell people it affects every business, every career. It doesn't matter what you do. You've got to have some basic tech skills. But yeah, I had some when I look back on it, some great mentors and role models. I had some older cousins that they weren't into technology, but one was a barber, had a barbering business, and some other cousins, they had a convenience store for a while. And as a teenager, they had me working in a convenience store. I was just shelving, putting things on the shelves. But when I look back on it, that really gave me, I guess, a spark for having something of my own, doing something of my own when I look back on it, because they had me like in the store. I could see the inner workings of how they ran that convenience store or his barber shop. And so over the years, yeah, I had some other mentors. One other guy that comes to mind, his name was Nolan Burke. He's just passed away now, but he was a retired naval officer. And at the time, I had a janitorial service, and I was just literally going door to door, knocking on the business offices, seeing if they needed work. And he hired me to clean his offices. And I think he saw that I was trying to do something with my life. So I remember he paid me my first month contractual fee, whatever it was. before I'd done anything. I mean, day one, he paid it
Wow.
up front. And he says, as long as I agreed also to cut the yard, and I did, keep the yard clean as well as clean the offices. But he also had a small office in the back that he allowed me to use as my first office, right? And it was during that time that I changed over from janitorial service to teaching people how to use computers. And one of the things that he would do, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but he was really kind of gruff, not very verbal. You'd see him all throughout the week, wouldn't say much of anything. And then every Friday around 2 or 3 o'clock, he'd go across the street to 7-Eleven and get a bottle of wine, right? And start drinking. And by
Oh,
5 o'clock, he wanted to talk.
okay.
And that was some of the best lessons because from about 5 to 7 or 8 o'clock at night, we would just talk. And he
Mm,
would share with me all the things he had noticed that I had done right that week. But he'd
okay.
also share with me the things I had done wrong that week. And
Wow.
he just became a mentor of mine. Uh, and so it was really funny because I didn't ask him, but we just kind of hit it off that way. He wouldn't say anything all during the week, but every Friday he had to have that wine, and he would say, "Well, they drink wine, and that's mentioned in the Bible, so it must be okay."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. So he was, I don't know if it was his intention to mentor you or pour in, no pun intended with the drinking, but if it was his intention to pour into an up and coming, entrepreneur or up and coming business owner, like was he just shooting the breeze with
Well,
you?
no, I think he just wanted to. He saw that I was trying to do something and want to make it, and I was young and had a young family, so I think he was just trying to help out. And I remember one thing that he did. I had a business idea, right, of creating a professional waiters academy, and the idea was to teach people at restaurants how to be better waiters and waitresses. And so we worked on that for about a year, and he helped finance it. He did finance it to get the word out. It wasn't a lot of money, but it didn't work. And I told him, let me pay you back for the money
Hmm.
you put into it. And he refused to take anything. He just said, no, he says, I just want you to help someone else later on down the road. And that's what we try to do. And I have to also mention Joe Dudley of Dudley Hair Care Products was also a great mentor of mine who I met in 2015. So Nolan Burke really taught me a lot about entrepreneurship, but a white guy. But Joe Dudley taught me about the importance of our community in particular,
Mm,
embracing technology and entrepreneurship, I should say, because Dudley of Dudley Hair Care Products, people may know of his hair care products and the
right.
cosmetology schools that he had. He trained over 30,000 individuals on how to become cosmetologists. But he also mentored literally hundreds, maybe even thousands of other people, including myself,
Hmm.
about the importance of our community thinking of being the owners of our businesses. And he would always say, be a job maker and not a job taker.
Wow.
And when you do take a job, though, he says it's okay, but go in with the idea of what can you learn versus what you can earn. And then he
Mm,
says, if you learn the business, whatever that business may be, you'll be able to earn as much as you want when you're ready to go out on your own. So those two mentors, and there's been others along the way, of course, but those two come to mind definitely um, that poured into me along the way, different stages of my life. And yeah, through Every Dot Black, we try to do the same for others as well.
yeah, I've heard you talk highly of these gentlemen in the times that we have talked, but it made me wonder. It doesn't have to be someone in your specific niche in terms of the modeling or even the mentoring, because there's nuggets and gems that we can learn that are universal,
Oh,
right? There
absolutely.
are character traits that we all have to build over time,
Hmm.
including resilience and determination and looking at things from a different perspective. You talked about the hospitality training business that you wanted to get into, and you tried it, and you
Hmm.
said, "Hey, it didn't go the way I thought." Right, and most people would consider that to be a failure in a way, but did your perspective shift to it was something along my journey that taught me something
Oh,
that I was
absolutely.
able to take further?
Oh, absolutely. And there were a lot of lessons along the way. Shoot, put it, like I sold t-shirts, I tried real estate, I sold hot dogs at the county fair, I tried that professional waiters academy. I had a couple of janitorial services, but it wasn't until I got into the computer field, which I found my passion, I guess what my natural gift was able to use, where the other things I was just trying to figure out something to make money, but I wasn't passionate about being a professional waiters academy or passionate about janitorial service. I was just, trying to make a living, but it wasn't until I got into the computer field. But you're right, the principles of business are the same no matter what type it is. And there's a saying that says the methods are many, the principles are few. The
Mm.
methods may change, but the principles never do. And so the
Wow.
principles that Joe Dudley shared and Nolan Burke and a few others shared, even though they weren't in the computer field, the principles, you say, customer service or integrity, honesty and that type of thing, that doesn't change, even
Mm.
though the methods, networking and even though our networking methods, now we're able to do it on Zoom and internationally, by turning on your computer and sitting in your living room. But the networking, the principles of networking doesn't change.
Mm.
So you still need to do those same things. So uh,
That's a good point, and it leads us to our next bit of questioning, which is about networking and community. You shared that these gentlemen were big on
mhm.
building community and how do we create jobs for one another and opportunities for one another. And you mentioned that Every Dot Black is a leader in that way of bringing people together to share their insights, perspectives, their expertise so that it can help someone else to think about their own business in that way. So, how has networking and the element of community helped to shape your life as well as your business?
Or you can't, as a solo entrepreneur, you really can't not do it alone. You have to build your network. And I'm sure you've heard also, it says your net worth is dependent upon your network. So you have to do that. Now, with Nolan Burke and Joe Dudley, and I say a few others, and Lafayette Jones is another one that comes to mind. And he was the vice president for John H. Johnson of Jet and Ebony magazine. But they all preach the same thing. You've got to build that network. Now, say the average person knows 250 people. So if I get to know you and you get to know me, I've extended my network by 250 people because you're going to be on the lookout for those that need my help or my services. And I'll be doing the same for you, looking out for folks, I know this lady, Dr. Craig-Mason, that, you need to talk to, that type of thing. And in fact, I think I did refer a few people to you already, and I hope you
Yeah.
were able to reach out to them. So that's how it works. So you have to build that network. And for a number of reasons. One, you can learn from one another
Mm.
because you'll have some experiences that I haven't had. You'll have some contacts that I haven't had. So and you will have made some mistakes that maybe I didn't make, or I've made some mistakes that you didn't make. But I can maybe say, hey, don't try that. I tried that and this is what happened to me. Not that you will or won't do it, but it may give you a little different perspective on how to approach that based on some information I've been able to share with you.
Mhm.
So yeah, as a small business owner or small entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, I shouldn't say, I don't like the word small, but as a solo entrepreneur, then yeah, you need to build that network. It's vital.
I
And
was going to say, being a solo practitioner or what do they call a sole proprietor in a way, sometimes it can seem lonely because you've given yourself a job,
absolutely,
essentially,
it
and
could
you're
be
wearing a myriad of hats. And oftentimes you don't even know some of these roles, such as if you've got to do your own books or if you've got to be the marketing person for your business, the voice, the brand, and the service provider. It can be a lot. So I think that when we're networking with others, we can find those people in spaces where they're like, that's what I do. I'm an accountant. They take that off
exactly,
your plate. Or
exactly.
you find somebody's like, oh, I love everything about social media. They take that off your plate, right? So just sometimes being in a room and sharing what you're doing and how you're doing it, and even the challenges that you're facing, where I find like some people, you don't feel safe to say what your challenges are. But I do find that when you are in a space where you feel like the energy is right, where you can be vulnerable, even as a business owner, to share, I feel like that's where the resources show up, right? Because everybody knows somebody that does that thing, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And in fact, during COVID, we started what we call the virtual study hall because, again, we were a solo entrepreneur, maybe isolated to begin with, and with COVID, you're definitely isolated. You know, couldn't go out the house basically. So we
Yeah.
started the virtual study hall where we got on our businesses every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. Eastern to 9 a.m. just to work on a business, just like you and I are online now. We would say good morning, chit chat a little bit, but then we just work. But even
Yes.
though we're not in the same physical location, I can see you working, you can see me working. And then at the end of the session, like, well, what did you accomplish today? And I'll tell you what I
Mm,
accomplished today. So a little bit of accountability
yes.
as well. But you're right too, because you can't be the best at everything. You know, I'm not the best at branding. I know something about branding, but that's not my forte. I'm not
Right.
the best at accounting, but I know a little, but that's not my, so why not use the experts that are in my network
Yep.
to take that off my plate so I can focus on the things that I am really good at, that I can provide better than maybe most others. So you're absolutely right. That's vital as well. And in the end result, your clients, your customers get a better product or service because they're getting your attention with what you do best, why they reach out to you to begin with, you know.
Yes.
So I agree with you completely about that.
I love how it just transitions right into the next topic, because this is
Okay.
where we're headed with how technology can help us be more efficient, saves us time, helps us be better for our clients in a way, or more timely, however it works. But when we talk about integrating technology into our businesses and using other people's services when it's not our forte, how can those kinds of things related to technology help us? Like you mentioned, some of the programs that were now household names. But some people have never heard of some of these services that are out there. So, do you know of any that you could mention here that could help business owners?
For sure, and it changes all the time. You know, technology changes all the time. But well, I'll start with just the basics: Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms. So anyone, if you have a Gmail account, you have Google Docs, which is for word processing, Google Sheets for spreadsheets, Google
Hmm.
Forms that let you easily set up online forms to collect data,
Okay.
and it's no cost because it's no cost to you through those programs. Another one that I highly recommend is HubSpot. I don't know if you've heard
Mm,
of that one. HubSpot, or it's called a CRM, contact resource management software. So
okay.
basically, it lets you keep track of all the people, all the contacts you come in contact with, and with reminders, and so nothing slips through the cracks as to who you reached out to, who you're supposed to reach out to again. Where you can put it on your calendar, maybe send them notes. But it's a great way to manage your contacts. And then I can't not mention AI.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, we're talking about a time saver. Uh, and there's different AI applications out there. Some people like ChatGPT, which is kind of the one that most of us have heard about in AI, but also there's Perplexity, there's Copilot, Microsoft Copilot or Gemini, and each of these applications, the AI applications, they do a little something different. They work a little different because different
Mm,
companies are coming out with these other AI applications. But I encourage everyone, and even today, some folks are still a little timid about getting into the AI.
yeah.
But I say, in fact, I gave a presentation that says, "I ain't scared of no AI."
I love it.
And so we talked about why are we fearful of technology, in particular AI, and how do we overcome it? It's not going away. It's being infused and put into almost everything that we do now. So yeah, so you gotta jump in and learn about it. And you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be a programmer, but you'll find that it helps you maybe write that proposal that you want to
Hmm.
put out the door, get out the door. Or, I mean, I ask it all kinds of questions now, whether
Yeah.
it's personal, professional. I'll go to ChatGPT in a minute to say, well, maybe give me some ideas on how to promote this particular campaign, you
Right.
know. Or a good example is just about a week ago. Well, right now, everyone is, if you're working for the federal government, a lot of jobs are being lost. Well, Every Dot Black is a support group for entrepreneurs, and I look at it as an opportunity to help people that maybe have lost their employment. Maybe they're looking to start a job. So
Right.
I asked AI, what are the demographics of the people that are losing their jobs?
Wow.
Where are they located physically? What are the average age? What is their education level? Uh, what's the percentage of African Americans losing their jobs in the federal government? So it gave me these stats, statistics on
Wow.
on that I can work with. And then I asked AI, well, what's the best way to reach them, these people, and
Hmm.
give me the titles of some posts that I can put out there. And so it gave me some snappy titles to catch the attention of the people losing their jobs from the federal uh, government. And it's not just the people employed by the federal government, there's also contractors as well. In fact, I've had a couple of our members that are contractors to the federal government and they lost their contracts because of all the changes that are happening. And so, yeah. So anyway, I tell people you gotta jump into AI. Don't worry about learning it all. Just pick one, become familiar with it, and when you're ready, check out another one. Be mindful of what it can do, and so use that as a tool in your toolbox when you need it.
That's a good point that you make too, because in anything that we get fearful of, it usually comes from a place of the unknown.
Absolutely.
Most people are afraid of what they don't know or understand.
Right.
And so these programs, if you will, like chat is my friend. I gave my chat a name. Okay.
Right.
So you can go in and ask it about itself.
Yeah.
Say, what would I use Chat GPT for? And
Yeah.
it
For
will
sure.
show you all the different things you could use it for. But it also makes me think that we've got to know and be honest about our own pain points
Hmm.
in business or even in our personal lives. Like we've got to be honest with ourselves to say, here are my great strengths, like the SWOT analysis, right? Here's what I'm so super good at, but
Hmm.
here's my weaknesses. And if I'm going to be honest about my weaknesses, most people want to improve upon them.
Right.
You're already great at what you do. So the things that I'm not great at is either something that I need to learn to improve or I can hire people to do those things that I'm not so good at. So when we're using technology in a way, let's say when you mentioned Google, the
Hmm.
Google Sheets or the Docs, let's say I'm not good at Google Sheets. It's similar to like an Excel
Hmm.
experience. So what if
Right.
you're not good at building out the tables or the calculations? I'm pretty sure there's somebody out here who is.
Well, that's actually one of the things that we do as well. We not
Yeah.
only are we a support group, but we have meetings, mastermind meetings that we patterned after Joe Dudley and his mentor, S.B. Fuller. But we
Mhm.
also have classes that we hold on a periodic basis. Just and I try to offer the classes that entrepreneurs need, like the Google Sheets and Docs and Forms and HubSpot, and how to create your own podcast. Or we've had a class on Wix, how to create your website, um, how to create your commercial. How to use do some video editing we use a program called Kapwing, KAPWING.com is a good one. It's fairly easy to learn to use. You can have some nice looking commercials or video with that. So anyway, so that's some of the things we do as well. Again, going back to my personal background of teaching people how to use software. So now we just do it basically online using
Mhm.
technology. You
Yeah.
can use it online. And because it is online, we're able to literally reach people all over the world, uh, whether they're attending the meetings or attending the classes that we offer. So yeah, and I say you don't be afraid of it. I can give you an example that I give sometimes to people. My mom, she passed away now, but I can remember, she's old school. I can remember when the microwave came out.
Hmm.
She didn't want anything to do with the microwave, anything to cook food that fast. There's got to be something wrong with it, right? But
Yeah.
then she tried it, and then she used it all the time. Just throw that
Hmm.
plate in the microwave and warm it up, right?
Yeah.
Or just the fear of the unknown. Or
Mm.
this is also one of the short story to share with you is that when Barack Obama first ran for president, she was against voting for him.
Okay.
She was convinced that they were going to kill him, no
Yeah.
doubt. But once he started winning
Hmm.
and winning the primaries, and she got on board, and then we called her CNN because anything Barack Obama did, we knew she was all up in it. Read both of
Oh,
his books. She was his, biggest supporter after she saw that he was going to make it. So, but anyway, the bottom line is the fear of the unknown. We can't
yeah.
let that stop us
Right.
uh, from achieving whatever it is we want to achieve. We have to just, give it a shot. And there's others out there. There's people out there. I tell you, anything you want to do, just ask somebody that's already doing it. Nine
That's
times
it.
out of 10, they're going to be more than happy to help you.
Right.
Most people are. That's just human nature that we all want to see others succeed. So that's what we try to do at Every
Exactly.
Dot Black, and that's what you do. So
Yeah.
with your
Before
podcast, this is helping people.
Exactly. And I was going to say, before we get into our final segment, I wanted you to share a little bit more about Every Dot Black because you've kind
Dot
of been
Black.
planting seeds as we've been going through the interview. But please definitely share how people can get connected to it. What classes, for example, could they participate in?
Sure. Well, a couple of things that we do. One, we have our weekly mastermind meetings, and that's free to the public. And we pattern that after the meetings of Joe Dudley and SB Fuller. We meet every week. It doesn't matter what business you're in. We meet on Zoom every Monday at 7:50 p.m. Eastern. I say, why 7:50? Because the meeting starts at 8. And if you come at 7:50, we have an early bird special to get you there on time, right? So we
Love
get
it.
started at 7:50 every Monday evening. And during the meeting, we read about entrepreneurship, a few pages. Right now, we're reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. We
Yeah.
read that, and we did read also Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Dennis Kimbro. We finished that one, uh, A Black Choice, and we have a brief discussion about it. Then we share announcements, and we anything that's going on in the community, we share that, and then we have guest speakers each week,
Hmm.
different speakers each week about different topics. The speaker this coming week is her name is Tiffany Hunter, and we're going to be talking about health. Now, the speaker we had last week just had a book about finance. So
Okay.
he launched his book about finance. So we talked about finances, uh, you know, good practicing tips for managing your finances and budgeting and that type of thing. And then if you actually become a member of Every Dot Black, we have different levels, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. But if you become a member of Every Dot Black, you're actually listed on the website. For the silver, gold, and platinum level, we help promote your business through our email blast, through our mastermind meetings, through our social media. If you're at the gold or platinum level, you can have a podcast. We'll show you how to create your own podcast. And the platinum level, any classes we offer, there's no charge. But all of the members get discounts on any computer classes that we offer. We
Nice.
give them discounts. There's no long-term commitment. If you register or sign up quarterly or annually, there is a discount, but there's no long-term commitment. You can upgrade or downgrade at any time, and that's what we do. I would mention also that we have the virtual study hall Monday through
Hmm.
Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. But we also just recently started a AI study group every Saturday at 10 a.m. Online. And it's not really a class, but every Saturday at 10, we say, well, what happened new this week in AI? Let's take a look at something new in AI this week, just to kind of stay abreast and keep people informed. So those are the things we try to do is with the mastermind meetings, helping businesses market themselves and how helping the members educate themselves more about technology, whether it's like I said, the Google applications or uh, learning how to create your own podcast or your own commercial or trying to think of some others. Had we've had one on digital, creating your own digital business card, anything
Hmm.
which related to technology. And sometimes members will ask me about something. And, okay, well, let's just set up a class on it. And then also we've had some classes on AI in addition to the AI study group that we have every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So
That is fantastic. What is the website that they should go to?
every dot black, EVERY dot BLACK. And say no dot com, no dot net. Every dot black. Dot black is the new dot com. And if people want to add a dot com at the end of it, like no. It's really funny. That's our slogan. Dot black is the new dot com.
I love it.
And I it came out just, I would say every dot black. And I said, no, dot com, dot com, dot net. It's just like the new dot com. Every
Yeah.
dot black's the new dot com. I just said that to tell people, like, no, don't try to add a dot com to it. And
Yeah.
one of our members, she goes, you need to trademark that and make
That's
that a
it.
slogan. So that's exactly what I did because everybody was like, yeah, I like that. So the
It
website
makes
is,
sense, and it's exactly what you've built and what you
yeah,
continue to build over time, so I love how catchy that is, and
yeah,
it's intentional, right? It's now
yeah.
become an intentional thing.
And I have to mention too that the dot black domain, it was not made for black people, right? But it represents the best of the best, like black tie, black
Yeah.
tux, the little, black dress, the black judge's black robe that represents the best of the best sophistication. But yeah, and it evolved. I initially I didn't know what to call it. I had several websites. I had every black entrepreneur, every black professional, every black author. I had a ton of websites, and when I realized dot black domain was available, I thought, yeah,
Mm.
I like that. So I shortened. I got rid of all the others. We focused on entrepreneurship and just shortened it to every dot black. So
So unique, and I'm
yeah,
so glad that you have an innovative mindset in that way to just think through, pivot if you need to, but, keep trying until you figure out what works for you. I had asked you about our money talks moment when we
uh
shared before. And it's usually a moment where at the time it seems difficult or a challenge, but then when you look back in retrospect, it's something that kind of changed your life. It's something that gave you a lesson that's valuable. And you were talking about how you became so successful so fast and the revenue started coming in
yeah.
and you didn't realize about the tax situation. So
Oh,
could you share a bit
absolutely.
about that?
Oh yeah, yeah. 'Cause like I say, when I started teaching people how to use software in the '90s, companies, not just individuals, I mean, major corporations, government agencies were just booking me. I could not get home at that time. I was going around the countryside, and I literally would try to schedule some time just to get home. I lived in
Yeah.
Virginia, and people were just literally pouring money, throwing money at me, and I look back at all the money I literally wasted, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
not knowing. And when it was all said and done, yeah, I had a big tax bill that I had to take care of, from not being aware. And I learned a hard lesson, but you learn is that it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Yeah.
Taking care of those responsibilities and making sure that your taxes and your bookkeeping, your accounting is up to date. It's
Yes.
vital for any type of business. I know that that's
Mhm.
your wheelhouse. That's where we need people like you to call on to keep us all straight in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lesson to learn. But I
Mhm.
worked my way through it and say, well, I had to take care of it, and it took a little time, but it did.
Right.
So now I make sure that one live within my means, and I try to keep up with the Joneses so that I can sleep well at night and not have to worry about that type of thing.
Yeah.
Which are some of the tips that we shared this past week as well.
Mhm.
Uh, so get out of debt. You don't want any debt
Mhm.
because it's a compounding interest is great
Mhm.
when it works for you,
That's
but
right.
when it works against you, it could be a
Woo.
killer. So you
That's
don't want
right.
any long-term debt. If you can avoid that, that would be the first thing. Get out of debt. Put some money aside for those emergencies. not
Mm-hmm.
when, if they happen, but when they happen, they will happen.
Yep.
And yeah, so we try to do that. So yeah, if I knew then what I know now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's a lesson that maybe some of the others can learn. But typically in our community, we don't grow up. I don't know about you, but we don't grow up talking about those things around the dinner table
Yeah.
growing up. It wasn't the case in my household. My parents, and they did the best they could with my sister and I, but we weren't
Mhm.
discussing finances.
Yeah.
We just weren't. Um, and at that time, I do looking back on it, they paid for just about everything in cash. They didn't have a lot of debt, but we didn't talk about it. It wasn't taught in school, for the
Yeah.
most part, at least I didn't receive it in school. So yeah, so when I did get out into the workforce and the business that was really generating a lot of money at that time for me, then yeah, I just didn't handle it well. And sometimes you see these maybe athletes that get out there and sign those multi-million-dollar contracts. I was making that kind of money, but I can see how that can happen when they get out there and they're spending on everything. Uh, so even my expenditures now, it's like, I'm not interested in the latest car. Like it's just a whole different mindset. The mindset of delayed gratification now.
Right.
What do I need versus what do I want? So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, I don't know if that where you're going with that. What's
No,
that?
no, it's really good, and I'm glad that you brought up the fact that some of these lessons are hard learned, and then
Hmm.
also watching how our parents, grandparents, guardians, are integrating money into our lives or how they're just doing their thing and we're watching it. Which
Hmm.
leads me to my next question, which, we have a financial well-being journal that we're launching. And so we have some journal prompt questions. And
Okay.
one of the questions that I think that might be relevant to what you were just talking about is, when you said that they weren't talking about money around the dinner table, that's a lot of people's experience, with money.
Hmm.
And, how do you believe maybe let's say your parents using a lot of cash, not credit, or whatever they were showing you, how has it shaped your relationship with money?
Uh, well, like I said, at that time, they really didn't even discuss that, but I realized later on, um, when my father passed away, he passed away in 79. When he passed away, and I was looking at some of their income tax returns and realized how little they were earning, but
Mm,
still we did not go without. If we had our own garden and that type of thing. But yeah, I'm mindful now. I mean, if I go to the grocery store, I'm looking for the deal, the sale. I and again, it's just kind of because of the experience that I had. If I like, so sometimes I have to use a credit card for like a big expense, but if I do, then I pay that thing off and keep my credit score, in good standing. So I definitely am mindful of that now. And a lot of times too, when young people, you know, for example, dating, you can't just be out there trying to, you gotta be practical about this thing. I don't
hmm
know how to put it, but I think just learning the lessons the way I did. I, I, I look now before I spend.
Yeah.
I'm mindful of those things.
And I
So,
love how you use the word mindful, which goes back to intention. If you're going to the store, let's say for shopping for the home, you have an intention to nourish the family, right? And so how you go about shopping is important. What items that you're picking is important, but also, yes, catching some sales, like you mentioned a few
yeah.
seconds ago. So I think that we have more control over our money than we really think that we do because it's easier to blame the economy for being high, but we also have to take some accountability for how we're managing or stewarding the resources we do have our hands on. So I
So,
do feel like, we got to take the empowerment stance of Yes, I have income. I'm grateful to have income, but how I navigate that is in my power.
And
Where I choose to shop and how I do it.
and I want to mention also it's important too to get someone in your corner that knows about finance, that financial advisor. You know,
Yeah.
it's important to get someone that can help you with those things. It makes a huge difference. Again, unless you're in that field, even if you're in that field, you probably still need someone as well, but someone that
Mhm.
can help you navigate through those through your finances. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I've been so appreciative of this conversation, Dr. Davies, today. You have given us such insights into not just your own life and your upbringing, your background in your niche, but how important it is for us to have mentors or people that model good behaviors before us or even their mistakes, right? So we learn what
Yeah.
not to do. How important it is to bring community and a collaborative spirit into our lives, so that we can be better, continue to grow, and how technology is definitely something that we can't get away from nowadays, but it can be very helpful, to make things easier, quicker, more efficient. And even when we make mistakes with our money, it's okay to pick ourselves back up. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to use the village that is around us, whether it's our personal village, our business village, to have no shame about
Absolutely.
saying, hey, I do some things well, but some things I need a little support with that. So I appreciate this conversation today. And we did mention Every Dot Black and how they can go and engage in that community of support and learning and networking. But if they had a question for you specifically, how could they reach you? Maybe
Sure.
online or email?
Sure. Yeah. Email is just Jimmy, Jimmy, at every dot black. Very simple. Jimmy at every dot black, no dot com, no dot net. Or my number is 919-265-8045. I repeat that, it's 919-265-8045. And the website again is www.every.black. And I tell anyone, if you want to find out more about our group, come to our meetings on Monday night. You'll learn. I tell people, if you attend the meetings on a regular basis, you will
Hmm.
grow. You'll look back, after 90 days, 60 days, whatever, 6 months, you'll look back and you're like, you know what, I picked up something in these meetings. I met someone in these meetings. It just works that way, that you will continue to grow. And they say that the, your growth is determined by the books you read and the people you meet. And so we read, we have book discussions, and we have people literally from around the world every Monday night online, just like we are right now, that you can interact with and meet and get to know on a one-to-one basis. So yeah, just come check us out.
Fantastic. Well, once again, thank you, Dr. Davies, for joining us on this particular episode of Money Talks Wealth Beyond Numbers, where we believe that wealth is not just what you hold, it is what you heal. So
Hmm.
we are grateful to have you on the show, and we got to get you back on another episode, of course, in the future. But thank you for the time, and we want to say till next time, see you all later.
Thank you so much.